today. Thank you for the initiative and for organising the forum today. It's a healthy thing to get a whole lot of people into a room to talk about this stuff. Some familiar faces there, but more encouragingly, some less familiar faces. It's always good to sort of see more and more people sort of moving into this space. It's excellent. So I'm with the Taranaki Regional Council. I'm team leader biodiversity for the council. My primary responsibilities are around program, our Key Native Ecosystem program, or K&E program. But I'll be talking about our biodiversity strategy generally. I'll touch on the K&E program and an example of an urban project that we've done with Wellman School. Got a colleague here, Chauncey Ardell, who in large measure is quite involved in urban matters, predator control, and working quite strongly with the Plymouth District Council and communities in the city and spreading out around the region now. So, keep going. Turn this thing on. Or... Rough start.
Don't try now. Okay. Okay. Continue.
Okay,
Thank you.
Right, so Taranaki Regional Council is one of many players, so there are a lot of biodiversity initiatives in the region. But we do and have built a strong interest and involvement with biodiversity probably over the last 10 or 12 years. We've always done biodiversity stuff, but over that last 10 or 12 year period we've really built and quite a focused biodiversity program. We work with primarily rural landowners, but increasingly, as I said with Chauncey and co, a lot more activity in urban areas as well. We're strongly focused on private land, but we do work with other agencies, TLAs, your district councils, Department of Conservation, Wild for Taranaki, gels us all together as an umbrella organisation for the region, biodiversity, businesses, universities and restoration groups, and just an opportunity to thank Waikato University. We do have some association with Massey as well, but we're not a university region, and it's great to have you guys on board. It's excellent support. So our responsibilities around biodiversity stem from the RMA. So that's our statutory regional policy statement, our regional plans, and the rules, consenting processes, enforcement action, all of those sorts of things stemming out of the Resource Management Act. But we also have the Biosecurity Act, Biosecurity Act, which gives us quite a focus on pest, plants and animals and what people need to do or should be doing to help address those. And the Local Government Act, obviously, which provides for funding primarily, and working with communities to establish what our priorities are around funding. So what's going on with biodiversity in Taranaki? We have about 40% of our original forest scrubland habitat remaining. It's about 290,000 hectares. I think the region's 720,000 hectares, upwards of 700,000 hectares. We've only got around 8, or probably a little bit south of 8% of our wetlands left. 50% of that habitat is on private land, and about 50% is on conservation land. We've got some habitat that's threatened, lowland forests, coastal habitat and wetlands, and we've got some regionally distinctive species in the region, as well as threatened species. We've got this recognition here that pests possibly could be the greatest threat to biodiversity at this time, and there's a lot of work, a lot of mobilisation around that. But that said, we do continue to have incremental loss of habitat. So we still, even in these days and ages, we still have primary forest to a smaller, lesser extent than sort of scrubland, continuing to be modified. Waxes and wanes a little bit. I think the manuka industry at the moment could be seeing potentially a shift in the other direction. But despite current efforts, there's ongoing decline, and what we're all trying to achieve is turning the tide on that. So that's Taranaki. pre-colonisation and post-colonisation. So we've lost a lot. We've continued to have quite a bit of private and conservation forest land out the east. Obviously it's a national park. There's quite a bit of private forest around the edge of the national park, but generally on the ring plain here and in our urban centres around the coast, typically Stratford as well, not a lot of habitat. So we have a regional biodiversity strategy, first one prepared in 2008. We reviewed that a couple of years ago. It's quite an internal focused strategy, really governs what our council does as an organisation. It recognises our well, it's a few streams of, there's four kind of main streams of which we'll go into, but covers a suite of programs that the council does, recognises that there's a need for a joined up effort, and it's not just our work, it's the work of other agencies. Again, that emphasis on private land. We take great funding from ratepayers, typically rural and urban landowners, and we'd like to put that back out to those communities, the people who are contributing to that. So we've got a strong focus with biodiversity on private land. So the strategy obviously recognises all of the statutory requirements that we have to operate under as a council, but basically it supports and underpins our biodiversity efforts as an organisation. Bit of a vision there. Essentially it's sort of focusing on getting a representative range of all of our region's ecosystems. So we had a guy, Nick Singers, do an ecosystem analysis of the region, delving into it a bit, and identified about 33 key ecosystems within the region, and there are probably discrete sort of, I guess, originally rare kind of ecosystems that could be split out of that and it could be expanded upon. So we want to get a representative range, at least, of all of those ecosystems under active management, so that we have an intact relic of our functional ecosystems that, when we have the wherewithal, because really it's an economic challenge that we face as well, when we have the wherewithal, we can expand upon that and bring more and more land under management, and biodiversity under management. Middle paragraph there, so working together, so agencies, community groups and individuals want to sort of see partnerships and collaboration and integration between our work programs. And down the bottom there, we really want the community itself, the individual Taranaki residents and people who visit here, to value biodiversity and to be part of their farm management, part of their garden management, part of what they spend their time doing, and our core value. The four strategic priorities in the strategy, we have our K&E program, which I look after. It's largely it's a site-led program, so we work with landowners to say, average typical example might be a dairy farmer, might have 5 or 7 hectares of bush in the back corner. We would work with them, we'd identify it as a high value site, do species inventories, work with them to gain a better understanding of it, and then we fund and assist them with their own management of those areas of their properties. We've got a whole bunch of existing council programs, working with others, so Wild for Taranaki, and some large trusts and organisations, so Taranaki Maunga, and East Taranaki Environment Trust, Rotorua Scenic Reserve Trust, Ngāti Tama up north with Paranini. So yeah, sort of some large projects that we support within the region as well. And monitoring and information, so basically databases, information sharing, getting, capturing information on species distribution so that we can kind of better understand what's going on with biodiversity, and sharing that information with others, identifying gaps and trying to build, fill those gaps and make sure we have the information that we need to know we're doing the right job. So K&E program, so focuses on identifying sites. So we have an inventory of high value sites, and we're always on the lookout, engaging with landowners to try and identify and expand on that list. We prepare 20 to 25 biodiversity management plans a year for landowners, and we put funding alongside those. So an average, a site would receive between $5,000 and $25,000 over a 5-year period to support them with their management of that part of their property. On average, it's about $12,000 to $15,000 per site for a 5-year plan. And we pump out about 20 to 25 of those a year. Then we support those plan holders, so we don't just write a plan and give it to them and even do it for 5 years, we work actively alongside them with multiple visits across the year and support them in the day-to-day management of those parts of their properties. So Taranaki action, so it's kicked off in 2008. At this time we've identified 276 KNEs, 120,000 hectares. A lot of those hectares are actually from the original inventory and some of these large tracts of Department of Conservation land which we don't have too much involvement in the management of. So we focus on these orange bits, the bits of private land. So there's about 20,000 hectares of that. And we continually identify more, probably identify about 1,000 hectares a year and add them to the inventory and to help fuel new plans in the program. So what else we've got there? So today we've done about 153 plans. At the end of this year we would have done almost 170. After 5 years we review them and we carry on working with them, give them a little bit less funding in that second 5 years, but we continue to work alongside landowners. Just a little comment there about this ecosystem prioritisation approach. So this is a conservation planning approach where I mentioned that Nick Singers had identified those ecosystem areas within the region. We had another consultant do some work on, it's actually with Wild Taranaki, I think that's a piece of work, but we've picked it up and rolling with it. So identified about top 30% of priority sites. So there's a whole lot of habitat out east here in the national park, but the rationale of this is that if we can get at least these areas under management, include these little small sites that we've sort of represented with point data, if we could get all of that under active management, then we would have all of our ecosystems within the region, a representative sample of them, actively managed, protected, and hopefully in a functional state, so that we can expand upon that, beyond that as resources permit. So we've made a start with this. I guess the importance is that we have the likes of the Department of Conservation getting on board with this. If we're working with trusts and groups and organisations, if we're prioritising funding for areas, we would recognise these areas as being of high value for our funding. So typically this is what a biodiversity plan looks like. So it's a magazine style kind of document that we provide to the landowner, species lists, identifies key biodiversity values and threats, management actions, and who's going to do what over a 5-year period. So typically focusing on these main actions, legal protection, so covenanting ideally, fencing, stock exclusion, pest animals, pest plants, planting, monitoring. It's the sort of money that these plans attract. There's an urban case study, so Welburn School. So we made an approach to the school in 2009. It's about 1.2 hectares of bush. So if you imagine this is Coronation Ave here running back down towards the racecourse down here somewhere. They've got the fields, I think this is Cumberland Street. And so this is a steep river, like a escarpment that drops down to the Taranaki corridor that Bruce was talking about earlier on. So we've got a whole range of species there. We kind of profile the vegetation tiers. We look for notable species here, king fern, goldstripe gecko, so diversity of orchids, giant and short-jawed cockapoo, longfin eel, lamprey in the Taranaki stream. There's some, it's an acutely threatened land environment type, and so we've recognised its role in that ecological connectivity along the Taranaki. We've identified a range of pest species, and the school was keen to get on board. So what we did for this site, a handful of years later, we wrote a plan. We reapproached the school, wrote a plan for the site. Wasn't any fencing requirement. We sort of ran a couple of contracts with a council approved contractor to undertake weed control. As part of that, we're kind of working with the school maintenance staff and what have you, so they know what the plan is, so they can kind of carry on and we've done our initial control. Put some public information signage up in the school. There's ongoing species ID. We've looking at involving the Regional Council Education Officer at the school as well, and the school's keen to serve the track network and carry on the weed control. You've got a bit of Tradescantia, ginger, all sorts of weeds, a bit of a menagerie of weeds there was there. And just an aerial view looking down towards the coast with the stream in the bottom there. Other council programs, so that's that second stream, so we get the four main strands of the strategy. So other council programs, we've got our riparian management program, pretty bit of a council flagship. Comprehensive farm plans out east in the hill country. Our landscape scale South Possum program, and our relatively new landscape predator control program, which is rolling out over the top of that, building on all of these relationships that we've built with landowners. We've got pest plant programs, public information education. We've also got our planning, regulatory, consenting and enforcement. So basically there's a whole lot of stuff that we do that touches on biodiversity. Public information, just sending signals out and cues and publishing documents that promote biodiversity. Just about everything we do touches on biodiversity management. About 240,000 hectares on the ring plain with in our possum south-out control, and ultimately the vision is that this will be predator control as well. And set within this matrix will be a whole lot of dots of high-value K&E sites. We will be undertaking rodent control as well, and weed control and covenanting, etc. Chauncey will talk a bit more about our Towards Predator Free program, but basically we've kicked off in the Wildfire and Taranaki catchments in New Plymouth City, zero possum trial in the Kaitaki, and then we're going to carry on with stages around the mountain and then sort of roll it out progressively around the ring plain. Good for time, 3 minutes. So Chauncey can talk about that. Working with others, so we do a lot of work, like sort of saying, private landowners. We've got enhancement grants for them around the K&E plans and wetland riparian sort of works. We work very closely and quite involved with funding wild for Taranaki, Department of Conservation, EVTAs, Q2, NGOs. But wild for Taranaki, these guys here, we're all part of that. A lot of us are. So basically they're a regional biodiversity hub group, that's an organisation that we partner to and deliver and collaborate around biodiversity. Projects of regional significance, the Taranaki Moa project, these key trusts, Taranaki, Rotokari, Rapid Great Coast, we do a bit of work with the Taranaki Kiwi Trust as well. There's a lot of small groups out there, and the idea is that Wild for Taranaki will be the primary kind of servicing agency for those smaller groups around grant funding and what have you. TPT. Information monitoring is that last strand of the strategy. So basically, looking at databases, technology, GIS, inventories, plans. Looking at management data, monitoring the results of our management as well as unmanaged sites to sort of see differential and ecological condition, species distribution. Helena Jamison, who I saw walk in earlier on, heads up our terrestrial biodiversity state of environment monitoring. Our freshwater scientists also do contribute to this work. And we, big on the idea of promoting and sharing biodiversity data collection. And Wild for Taranaki again is quite actively involved in that space. So what do we hope to achieve by 2027? We're going to get 25,000 hectares privately owned forest and wetlands protected, fenced, and ideally have all of that subject to good consistent pest control as well. It's a challenge keeping landowners perennially fueled up, and people wax and wane. They have changes in life circumstances. That's always a challenge for us. We want to see wildlife corridors from the mountain to the sea. We share that vision with the New Plymouth District Council, which is great. The one corridor. 32% of the region. So if we get DOC on board with that ecosystem prioritisation approach from the conservation estate, we'll have 32% of the region's habitat at least really functionally managed. We're running out of time, I think. What's that last one? So, it's probably about it, I suppose. Bit of a summary. I guess just in closing though, in the urban space, so Chauncey's doing a lot of work, he's going to talk about that soon around the predator control. District Council in recent times has identified SNAs. They've done a comprehensive review of the district around identifying significant natural area sites. There are a number of those in the urban environment. So if you know of a landowner who owns one of these sites that has been identified as an SNA, if they're interested in getting involved in actively managing biodiversity and threats to it on their private land in the urban environment, we're keen to hear from them. So yeah, it's sort of something that we're, I guess, through that district council process, it's probably helped to gel the opportunity really. So looking forward to moving into that. Okay, thank you.